Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Ty Learned, and in today's video, I'm going to be power scaling The Boys Season 3, and on today's video, I have none other than the best boys channel on YouTube, Key Issues.
Facts.
Honestly, let's just get right into the power scaling aspect because, it's self-explanatory. So, in the question mark tier, we have Victoria. The only reason she is here is because it is implied that she can kill Starlight, but it is also implied that she can't really kill Homelander. We don't really know how her powers work, so for now, we are just going to be putting her in the question mark tier.
Yeah, if we wanted to power scale her like somewhere safely, I think like C tier would be fine. It's kind of hard to get a gauge on how powerful she is. She doesn't think she can kill Homelander. She's confronted him multiple times and has sort of just, walked away with her tail between her legs. So she doesn't think she can kill Homelander. Based on that, I don't think she can kill Homelander. I think it would be hard pressed to say that she could kill Translucent. Not sure how their powers would interact there. A-Train should speed blitz, and then like Stormfront and above would be weird. So maybe like top of C tier, possibly higher, but yeah, that's why she's in the question mark tier. It's just too hard to figure out.
Next up, we have the worst characters in terms of a power scaling aspect, that being the Deep, whose best feat is just like knocking out a couple of normal dudes with one punch.
Yeah, the Deep is funny because like his ability is to just, every soup has like baseline small building level attack potency. Like we've seen that pretty consistently throughout the entire series. Like Huey's ability is to teleport, but he also gets super strength. Kimiko's ability is to regenerate, but she also has super strength. So I think they all sort of just get this like relative super soldier like level attack potency. But unfortunately for the Deep, his other two abilities, that being talking to fish and breathing underwater, kind of suck. So he's got nothing really. He just has that baseline superpower and a pretty big weakness in his gills. If you like punch him there, it's a pretty sensitive spot. So yeah, he kind of sucks.
Everybody legit has super strength, but then the Deep super strength isn't even super strength. It's like, it's garbage. And potentially, depending on what you guys think about Huey pushing Homelander away for like a second, he could go higher, but this feat at baseline should just be better than anything the Deep has done.
And it could just be Huey moving Homelander's body weight. Depending on how braced Homelander was for that, he couldn't be putting any like strength behind it really. And if Huey was to just pick up Homelander, he probably weighs like 200 pounds. That wouldn't be too hard. So if he's just moving his body weight, again, that's not really indicative of attack potency.
And in D tier, we have the dude that Black Noir fought, Starlight, and Kumiko. The reason why all three of them are here is because they all basically have some type of scaling to Black Noir, with Starlight and Kumiko more than likely outscaling them.
Right, so Nakib, who is I guess, really one of the only supervillains that we've seen, quote unquote, in the entire show, has that blast, and Black Noir is kind of able to tank that, and Kimiko and Starlight would be relative to his durability, so I think they would be alright. Especially Kimiko, she can just regenerate. I don't think that's going to one-tap her by any stretch of the imagination, and she's also able to keep up with Black Noir in skill. I think Starlight should also be more skilled. We have sort of like history of Starlight's life. We know she's gone through extensive martial arts training. That's pretty much baseline for everyone in the Seven. You have to be very well-rounded in your skill set, and that includes martial arts to even be considered for the Seven. And I don't think, Nakib has any of that. And Starlight's light beams should just go off quicker than his explosion. Yeah, I think that's pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I think for Nakib as well, he doesn't really have any speed scaling to Black Noir. If I remember correctly, he just like blasts Black Noir, which he tanks, but Kumiko and Starlight have like a full-on confrontation with him, scale to him in speed, damage him, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And then we just see off-screen that Nakib got his head caught off, so...
Now, in C tier, this could actually vary depending on what you guys think of the speed scaling for the verse. If you guys think they are relative, Black Noir probably just outranges Lamplighter, but if Lamplighter can land one hit on Black Noir, it is wraps. His fire can vaporize solid steel, which is calculated to be at small building level, which should be stronger than anything Black Noir has shown to tank.
Yeah, I think it should pretty easily take down Black Noir, especially if he's able to get like a focused stream of fire on him, as the Nakib blast was, I would say, kind of relative to Lamplighter's attack potency. It was just one blast, and Lamplighter can keep like a continuous flamethrower coming out. But if Black Noir is able to, dodge out of the way or outmaneuver Lamplighter, I think he would get the upper hand. Based on what we've seen, I think like Black Noir and Maeve are probably like the top two in the verse in terms of skill. We haven't seen much out of Lamplighter, but again, he was on the 7. I would assume he has extensive martial arts training, but Black Noir and Maeve should just be a step above. If he can't catch Black Noir in that continuous stream of flame, then I think Black Noir can probably get a win. It just depends on how you see the battle going. I think it's like, honestly, it's a 50-50 toss-up.
In the next tier, we have Translucent, who surprisingly is really high, even though he's been in like barely 2 episodes of the entire show, and cracked out A-Train.
Yeah, so Translucent's interesting just because his insane durability. They kind of break how his durability works within the show. Like when he gets the C4 or whatever put inside of him and he explodes, like his body explodes outward, but it should be something more akin to what happened to Black Bolt in Multiverse of Madness, where like his insides explode but his outside doesn't. So that was sort of weird, and I would say that's just like a narrative outlier. Like they wanted a cool bloody explosion rather than something that was more scientifically accurate based on the science that they had shown us in the show, where he's like able to completely no-sell everything. If you think to the scene in like Guardians of the Galaxy where Drax jumps inside the monster that's trying to steal the Annulax/Harbulary batteries, he's trying to cut to the outside of it, but the skin, is still just as durable, right? Yeah, he wouldn't be able to pierce it from the inside or outside. It's the same kind of situation there. So that's just a weird outlier. With all that said, Translucent is just way too durable to lose to anyone below him. And then A-Train is so much faster, he could just figure out a way to get over that. He could fucking punch down a Translucent's throat or something.
And Starlight and Black Noir, whether you think there's a gap between the characters, should at least be very much relative, and Translucent's skin was coated into a bullet which also harmed Starlight, but that same bullet didn't do a thing to Translucent. And the only reason cracked out A-Train is here is because he reacted to Starlight's light and was beating her up, but again, this is an amped A-Train, not base A-Train. He would be much lower on the list. Now, in the A tier, we have Stormfront and Enraged Ryan. The reason why Enraged Ryan is here is because he turned Stormfront into an onion, and Stormfront herself is able to kinda / not really, depending on your interpretation, tussle with Homelander.
Yeah, Stormfront is weird. I mean, it took 3 characters to like beat her down, but each one of those characters could like sort of harm her. So like the power scaling is continually evolving within the boys, and we're finding out what's more consistent as the series goes on, because obviously the more feats you get, the more consistent the verse becomes. You don't want to take a extreme outlier in most cases either way, unless there's consistency for that argument. So for instance, if you take a look at DC Comics, Wonder Woman in the comic books is consistently fighting like Superman level characters who are like universal plus, right? And she does this, like I said, consistently throughout her history. But even recently, she's been shot by a regular gun and it pierced her skin. It's something you have to acknowledge when power scaling. So I think Stormfront is pretty consistently above the likes of Kimiko and Starlight, despite the fact that they could, damage her, stagger her with their punches. I think it was more of just she was getting mobbed rather than, she's at that lower level. I think she would be consistently more powerful than that.
And if you want to talk about consistency, I felt like Stormfront was, even though Starlight and Kumiko were holding their own, Stormfront did kind of had the advantage up until Maeve pulled up, who is in a whole different tier. So it honestly is pretty consistent. And speaking of, in S tier, we have the 3 characters who scale to Homelander the best: Soldier Boy, Queen Maeve, and Billy.
Yeah, so Soldier Boy is just sort of acknowledged to be 1B to Homelander's 1A, if you will. He's just slightly weaker, and he's able to hold his own. He's able to stagger Homelander, various things like that. I think he has a slight skill advantage based on what we've seen, but in the end, he's just not strong enough to take on Homelander by himself, and it's sort of like the situation we just talked about. Him and Butcher needed to team up to take Homelander down, so it would be 2 characters that are slightly below Homelander needing to work together Homelander to take him down. The real reason that Soldier Boy is above Maeve, because honestly, if they just went mano a mano, no like power nulling radiation blast considered, I think Maeve probably beats Soldier Boy most of the time. I would say she's relative to him in skill, if not better, and she made Homelander bleed, something Soldier Boy didn't do.
Honestly, it was kind of surprising when in the beginning of season 3 she was like, oh yeah, all I could do is block one hit, but then she like wombo combos him in the finale. Like, that is so, like, that was insane.
Yeah, she got, I don't know, a belief amp, you know, that you see in anime or something like that. She just believed in the heart of the cards.
Another thing I want to touch on is that a lot of people like to say that Billy might have been nerfed during the fight with Soldier Boy, but honestly, I feel like the only reason people say that is because, one, Billy was doing like slightly better in the first fight with Homelander, even though there is a specific frame in the fight where we don't even see Soldier Boy and Homelander fight. Like, there's like 30 seconds of just them looking at the background and then like Billy getting up, but we do not see them fight. So we could just imply that they were scrapping there, and also it's consistent with what happens in the finale with Billy legit losing to Soldier Boy.
Yeah, and they were like fighting in the background while the camera was on Starlight and MM for like a decent amount of time. It cuts away. So I think they were, you know, going back and forth for a decent amount of time. I think it's pretty safe to put him up there. And even if you want to say all three of these characters are like basically equal to one another, Soldier Boy just has the nuclear blast that he can use at any time. And yeah, it takes time to charge it up, but we've seen the AoE that it has, and it can destroy a pretty wide area. So it'd be tough for these other characters to get out of the way before it went off, despite it, you know, taking a while.
And obviously in S+, we have Homelander. It's self-explanatory, the strongest hero in VOT, you know. All these other characters in S tier had to team up just to hang with Homelander. It's self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, I like to put Homelander in that like city level just because of the nuclear bomb kind of implications, where multiple characters say that Homelander can't be harmed by any weapon on Earth. Of course, that would include nuclear missiles. You can interpret that in different ways. I just think it's more fun to go with the city level stuff. Like, I don't think if Starlight got in a fist fight with Soldier Boy, she could hurt him. And we know that Starlight is like small building level, right? Like, that's just confirmed. She can hurt Black Noir. And there's a statement that Black Noir's blade would never scratch Soldier Boy, and he can cut through Kimiko and basically eviscerate her, and she's small building level, right? So just going off of that, it's pretty blatant that Homelander and the characters in S tier are just far and away more powerful than these lower tier characters. How powerful? We don't know exactly, but going off the statements that Homelander can't be harmed by any weapon on the planet Earth, which are made in universe and out of universe, I think it's pretty safe to say, yeah, he could be around city level. So I don't think the arguments that, okay, well, Maeve is small building, therefore Homelander has to be somewhere around there, really hold any water. What's consistent? Let me bring up the whole him getting damaged by the pen. Yeah, I mean, she shoved the pen through his ear canal. I think that's a little bit different than him being shot with a bullet.
It wouldn't be the equivalent of Queen Maeve punching his nose and breaking it. Like, she's hitting a specific weak point.
Right. And we already know he can't be cut by blades. He's bulletproof. Maeve herself is bulletproof, or at least her outfit is. Again, think about what's consistent and think about the feat logically. You know, same deal with Stormfront getting stabbed in the eyeball by a regular human. She was able to tank a Homelander beam for like an extended period to her skin. You know what I mean? So it's like the ear canal, the eyeball, these are specific weak points, and I don't think they should be used to downplay any other characters. So whether you think Homelander can tank a nuke or not, he's obviously much more powerful than the small building level characters, which is pretty much, you know, everyone below A tier.
That sort of argument just kind of goes both ways. Like, if you want to say, oh, if Queen Maeve is small building, then Homelander has to be. But if Homelander is city and then Queen Maeve can harm him, wouldn't that also upscale her? Like, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those things. It's what are we going to take that's more consistent? And I think it's more consistent that Homelander is far above the small building level characters than the small building level characters can hurt Homelander. Historically, they can't. So if Queen Maeve can, then she should just be stronger. And like you said, she turned the tide in the Stormfront battle, so.
And that's the conclusion for the boys power scaling tier list. Thanks again, Garrick, for coming on here. I really do appreciate you.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I'd be happy to come back anytime, you know, you want my weird opinions on any power scaling or even to just chat.
And if you guys want more boys related content, let me know down in the comments what I should do. Plus, also going to check out Garrick's channel, who drops a bunch of content on not only the boys, but Marvel, Star Wars. He's got it all, man. You guys got to go check him out. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks once again for watching, and peace.